Yep, you got all those fancy degrees, Alex, and now you can't even introduce your stupid friend. Take 3, you can do it. I believe in you.
This is Alex Freeman, MFA, joined by just simple BA, Luke Jaconis.
Yep. Simple bitch-ass Luke Jaconis. Now that's your clip out. Just get the censor button.
There it is.
It's Baseball at the Corner. This is the Michigan in Trouble podcast with your hosts, Alex S. Freeman and Luke Jaconis.
Hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. I am Alex Freeman, joined by Luke Jaconis, fellow Western Illinois University alumni. A little collegiate baseball update for you. The WIU Leathernecks did, in fact, beat the number 4 ranked Louisville Cardinals in baseball over the weekend. They didn't lost the next 2 games in the series, but they got them with 1 game, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, neck up. Always got to represent those WIU Leathernecks. WIU is the Harvard of the Illinois state schools, I always like to say. And
the ones on the western side of the state.
Exactly. Bada bing, bada boom. I actually I never went to any. I don't think I went to one baseball game at Western. Did you?
I did. I went to one when my parents came down, and we were just kind of looking to fill a day. So we made our way over to the baseball game. I think we also maybe watched a soccer game or some other sport. We kind of just wandered around all the sports complexes.
I did a couple football games. We did the tailgates, obviously. Went to a couple basketball games. Those were always fun. You know, I have a gripe to pick actually with Western Illinois University, and in particular the WIU theater department. Now, that's obviously where Alex and I, that's where we made our money. That's where we got our degrees from. And Tom Souls, friend of the show, resident A's fan, he always agrees with me on this topic. The theater department would always schedule events on Saturdays, like during homecoming and tailgating. So while all your friends are going out and having a college experience, you got to be stuck in some rehearsal hall for 8 hours doing runs of The Tempest. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants that. That's not fun. I mean, it's fun in a way, but during homecoming weekend, we got to figure this out. But I got to talk to whoever's still there that we know. We got to get this. We got to change this up. These kids got to have a college experience.
That list is getting shorter and shorter. People that we know at Western Illinois.
Good people there. All jokes aside, wonderful people, beautiful memories, great time.
Great school. And if you're interested in sports broadcasting, there's a great sports broadcasting program at Western Illinois University. If you're interested in theater and dance, Luke and I would happily talk to you about the program. There's also
recruiting now. We're recruiters for them now.
Sponsored by Western Illinois University.
They don't even follow us on Instagram.
Send them a bill.
Bastards.
See what?
I don't even think the WIU, the official WIU account, follows us on Instagram. They don't even support 2 fellow alumni. Yet they'll slide into my email DMs at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday asking me to donate. Did you not get enough of my money for 4 years, you cheap bastards? If you're not going to help sponsor my career with this show with my friend here, I'm not going to donate to the Alumni Association.
Whenever my undergrad alma mater, Albion College, gives me a call, I have a pleasant conversation with the student, and then I gently ask them to look at what my degree was in, which was theater. And then I said, after that, I went and got an MFA in theater. So I don't quite have the funds to donate back to the institution. Glad you have a job working the phones, though.
That's great. Hey,
have a pleasant day.
Doing their job. Dude, I was just thinking of, because the alumni, boy, we're really just kind of pigeonholing our audience right now who isn't familiar with WIU. But I was thinking where the alumni house was on Adams Street, and just a couple houses down or buildings down, I guess was ISS. I would kill for an ISS sub right now. I would murder someone.
Ever find yourself in Macomb, Illinois? Maybe watching the WIU Leatherneck baseball team. Head over to ISS, get a sandwich. It's a good time.
I had many a drunken nights on that street my freshman year, just stumbling around like an idiot.
Maybe grab a Larrier's pizza.
Well, that's it. That's a longer walk. You walk there, walking damn near to the Hy-Vee, but hey, pizza was all right.
Then you pick up some high chai, and then you've encompassed Alex's MFA experience.
Chicks, El Rancherito. Well, El Rancherito was there because they got shut down a bunch of times, health code violations. But boy, we're
called something else now.
But no, it was good. That was a wonderful time. All jokes and rants aside, I had a wonderful college experience. Four of probably the best years of my life. I made so many friends, so many memories. Learned a lot with my career path. What more can you ask for? Great times.
Once again, for anybody who just tuned in a little bit late, who caught just that we're in the midst of a Western Illinois University rant, it is because Luke and I are both alumni, alumnies of the institution, aluminum knees of the institution, Western Illinois University, who beat Louisville in baseball, the number 4 team in the country, not Western Illinois University. Now, it's now overshadowed this weekend by the University of Central Florida winning their series against Ole Miss, who is number 1 in college baseball in the world of upsets. But alas, let's talk spring training.
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Let's start with former collegiate first baseman Spencer Torkelson, who didn't know you need a can opener to open a can, and therefore sliced his finger, which has kept him out of some practice. He can't bat. I think he has still been able to do some fielding work. So he has been, practicing, but did not play as we recorded this on Sunday evening, did not play Sunday afternoon. But also, as we are into Torkelson, 1, get a can opener, kids. If you need to open a can.
What, did he use a knife?
Yeah, try to use a serrated blade.
And this guy's the future?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I've met many, many, many young men his age who have done that exact same thing.
He's like, I guess I'm like 4 years older than him. But I mean, I don't pretend to be a brain surgeon, but even I know you don't use a knife to open a can.
No, you got to get a can opener.
And this guy's the future marquee name for our team. It should be me. I can open a can and not hurt myself. Spencer should be doing the show, and I should be in the majors.
Or also, let me pitch this to the Illich family. When you draft somebody, give them a can opener.
No, when you're in the process of looking who you want to draft, and like sometimes they do like meetings with the families at the houses and things like that, do the can opener test. You sit down, you tell them why they'd be a great fit for the organization, and before you leave, you put down a nice little can of Chef Boyardee, hand them a can opener and say, "Can you open this?"
Can you open this?
If they open it, then you're like, "All right, you're a guy."
You lay out a series of tools: a can opener, a serrated blade, a hammer,
a chainsaw,
and you say, "Which one is are you going to use to open this?"
A spork. That's funny.
Outside of the injury,
thank God he's not hurt.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's like a weird flu. That I'm selfishly a little bit glad that this probably means that he'll spend a little bit longer in West Michigan in the minors.
Potentially, yeah.
I was a little worried he'd be like in West Michigan for 2 weeks and then they'd move him over to Erie. But I do think that this means I will have a chance to come home to Michigan and watch Spencer Torkelson play. Yeah. So that'll be nice. But one of the things that, all this talk in the off of last year of moving him to third base, of Spencer talking about he spent much of the offseason just working on third base, and even from management that seems still like third base was the thing. So far in spring training, he's been getting work at first.
Mixed signals, right? I mean, now let's not pretend that we're kind of dumbfounded with this. I think Spencer Torkelson will play a lot of third. Yeah, sure. I think he'll get his fair share of reps. He'll get some significant game action at third. Is he going to be a career third baseman? Absolutely not. He's going to end up at first at one point or the other, because it just makes sense logistically for this team. With Miguel Cabrera being towards the tail end of his career and he can't play the field every day, he's our DH. There is that prime time open spot at first. The only thing that down the road with future seasons where maybe a reason why Torkelson isn't at first every day is just maybe they go out and do a big free agent signing. They get a big first baseman. I know next season Anthony Rizzo is a free agent, someone of his caliber, obviously, or they do a trade. That's really the only situation where see that Spencer Torkelson isn't the long-term solution at first base. In the immediate future, yeah, he might be at third, but make no mistake about it. This guy, he's going to first. We've been saying that since they've drafted him. It's nice that he's, getting the flexibility to kind of play both positions in the infield, but we, I think, all know where he will end up in the long run.
And I think that I have to keep reminding myself that, Miguel Cabrera's 2 best seasons as a Tiger were when he was playing third base. So I shouldn't be so caught up in the why would you move him to third base? Mm-hmm. But it is just one of those I have to remember under new management here that, these guys are I can trust their decision making a little bit differently. Now Al's still involved. And so that does obviously throw up some red flags, but underneath AJ Hinch and his staff, I feel much better that they'll make the correct decision about where to put him on defense when the time comes.
Yeah, this coaching staff, I am so excited to see how they all do. There is a lot of, we've been saying it for a while now, there's a lot of really fun pieces with this team. Obviously with the upcoming hitters, we're going to get to see a lot more of these younger pitchers kind of progress from last season. We're going to see some debuts this year with Matt Manning. It's going to be great. But I'm so excited to see how this new coaching staff fares. I think it's going to be really awesome. I am in particular obviously ready to see how AJ Hinch manages this team, just from even the small interviews that I've watched on YouTube or on Tigers.com. The way he carries himself is just I just feel so confident in his ability to take this team to the next level. And that's not a knock on a guy like Ron Gardner, because I've said it before on the show. You as have you. We both loved Gardy. We loved Gardy. I think there's even a small part of me still that wishes Gardy could be around when this team finally gets to that level where they're competing for a championship, because God knows that man deserves it after the monstrosities that he had to sit through these last couple of seasons. But having said all that, I'm really just excited to see how AJ Hinch takes his team to the top. And I think he is the guy to do it. I think there might be a growing pains season, maybe 2, if that. But I really, truly think in my heart of hearts, we won't see a 2019 season again. Not with AJ Hinch here. I would be stunned if we saw a season like that. And you got to keep in mind, that was legitimately one of the worst seasons in Major League history. So I doubt we get back there. I would be absolutely shocked if that happened. But it's just exciting. With him, Feder, Coolbaugh, you got George Lombard as the bench coach. I know we're going to get into him a little bit. It's just a lot of really exciting pieces on the coaching staff of this team. And just right now, everything is just everything just feels yeah, cool. All right. I like where we're going with all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll save some of my points for the next AJ Hinch conversation that we'll have in a bit in the show, as we kind of keep running through the quick updates from spring training, as we're not too deep into spring training at this moment. They did beat Southeastern in the scrimmage. I always hold my breath a little bit at that scrimmage, because I just it would be a bad omen for the year, I think, if they were to not beat not even a top college baseball program.
Any given Sunday, Alex. Sunday.
That is true. They opened Grapefruit League play on Sunday against the Phillies. A 6-run first inning against our old friend suiting up for the Phillies, Ivan Nova. Put up a 6er on Nova. They actually ended the first inning early, because the Phillies, 2 Phillies pitchers, one being Nova, had combined for over 50 pitches. And the Tigers had the bases loaded, but Joe Girardi, the Phillies manager, said, that's enough. Let's move on. Tyler Alexander started on the mound for the Tigers, threw 22 strikes on 30 pitches over 2 innings of work, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs. One was a first inning home run. No walks and 1 strikeout. So, not a bad first outing for Tyler Alexander. The stat I think that both you and I wanted to zero in on and love to see: 22 strikes on 30 pitches.
Yeah, that kid likes to throw strikes, it seems. Remember his thing he did last year? How many people did he strike out in a row? Wasn't it 9 or?
Yeah, I think it was 9.
9 or 10, something like that. So yeah,
that relief appearance.
Yeah, it's cool. Look, we're not going to be I'm going to say right here, and I think you'll agree with me on this, we're not going to be the show that gets too worked up over a beatdown on the first spring training game of the season. It's great to see Tyler Alexander come out, throw strikes. It was great to see Willie Castro hit a long ball. I think Jamer went 2 for 2. All that's great. It's the first game, folks. It's just great to have baseball back. Even before we started going, I think I was watching like the Dodgers A's spring training game. Not that I have zero interest in the game. It's just nice to have baseball on in the background. So, it's cool. Baseball's back. It was nice to see some fans in the stands today. I know a lot of these stadiums are still doing very limited capacities, but baseball is back, and that is always a good thing.
Yes, today was the first Detroit Tigers game with fans in the stands since last spring training. Yeah. It took a grand total of 6 innings before someone got thrown out of the stadium. So that's
true?
That is true. We had somebody get thrown out. I don't know what led to them interacting with Lakeland police, but they spilled some beer on the police, and that seems to have been the final straw that led to their ousting from the stadium. I would guess that something to do with that beer beforehand is what led to the Lakeland police coming over to have a conversation. Well,
go Tigers. We're back, baby.
It's one of those things that not about getting thrown out, but like with spring training, it is always nice to see your team be successful in spring training. Most Detroit fans remember the season that the Detroit Lions went 4-0 in preseason and then 0-16 in the regular season. So pretty well versed in not putting a lot of faith in preseason results.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where you can take good things for what they are. Yeah. As nice wins, but you really just are looking for where's the weakness. Mm-hmm. And I think that, we didn't necessarily show a lot of that weakness this time around. A lot of guys got in, had some good at bats, which is nice to see. And you want to just see them continue to build on these good things as a lot of guys ramp up to April. Eric
and there's a lot of guys too. Yeah, I saw that. There's a lot of guys we didn't even get to see today. So, I mean, spring training is great. One of my favorite things about spring training, one of my favorite memories about it is when I was younger, when I was in middle school, I honestly was never much of playing hooky. That was never my thing. I mean, I probably in hindsight wish I would have played more hooky as a kid, but I don't know. I was never one of those kids who played hooky from school that often. However, I had a yearly tradition where I would play hooky from school. I would check on the TV when the Tigers games were being televised. So this was before the days of having MLB TV or the extra innings. And it was just like, they just happened to be showing the game on ESPN today. Great. So I would check the schedules beforehand. And if I knew for a fact that the Tigers had a spring training game, usually it ended up being sometime in late February or March, obviously when spring training is going on, I would play hooky that day. So I would do like a couple days worth of prep going into my day. I would kind of start going, I'm not feeling good. I kind of feel like tired, not feeling great, all this stuff. And then the night before, when I wanted to stay home the next day, the way I would do it was, and I guess in hindsight, kind of not healthy, but I would sleep with my face just buried in my pillows and blankets. That way, when I woke up the next morning, my face was beet red and I was hot all over. And then I'd be like, Mom, I don't feel good. I think today I just want to stay home today. And since I was one of those kids who never played hooky, she'd be like, all right, go ahead. And that was it. And I'd stay home and watch spring training baseball. That story I told, I'm going to be honest. I just told that story. I felt like I took about 6 minutes to explain that story. And it could have probably been recapped in about 30 seconds. But let's move on to the next topic.
It's a baseball podcast, Luke. We're used to things taking a little bit longer than they maybe should.
Yeah. Guess next time you can get the hook. Next time you can kick me out of the Zoom. But I used to do that one time a year. I would always play hooky so I could stay home and watch a spring training game.
Well, there you go. You're going to have to do that again. You have to just play hooky from work sometime.
Yeah.
Tell your mom that you don't feel well. And
I think I got to call my parents. Got to make sure they call into work. Yep. Call into work. And yep. Luke won't be coming in today. He's not feeling well. Okay.
He's not feeling well.
And who are you? I'm his parent.
I'm his mother. Thank you.
Yep. Yep.
Upcoming this week, if you want to tune in either via radio or if you can catch a game via MLB.TV, whatever the broadcast schedule may be. Funkhauser pitches on Monday against the Yankees. Would have been Fulmer, but he had a kid, so congrats to him and his wife.
Congrats, Michael. That's awesome.
On the second child, I believe, their second kid, so he had to go home to
Nice.
Oklahoma for a few days.
Cool.
Casey Mize pitches Tuesday against the Pirates. Matt Manning will pitch on Wednesday against the Phillies, coming out of the bullpen after a Daniel Norris start. Thursday, we see the Red Bull, Big Spencer Turnbull there, against the Blue Jays. Matt Boyd takes the mound Friday against the Yankees. Tarek Skubal will pitch Saturday. Might be as a starter, might be out of the pen after Fulmer if Michael Fulmer is back and cleared and goes through the testing protocol against the Orioles. Note about Tarek Skubal working on a splitter.
Oh, that's fun.
This offseason, trying to add that into the rotation.
Is he getting tips from Casey Mize?
He is indeed. He's trying to learn Casey's pitch so that they can.
Very good. They can
add that in.
Split it up. Yeah,
that's right. Then they'll round out the week next Sunday against the Blue Jays. Don't yet have a projected pitcher for that matchup, but no, it's going to be a good week to kind of see these guys get back in action. I think for me, the thing that I'm looking for out of all these guys this week is that strike to pitch ratio number, because I know that that's been one of the things that we've been watching a lot of these pitchers, a lot of the guys on this list do last season and in years past is get behind in counts. And so are they coming out? Are they trying to attack guys? I would much rather see them, especially in spring training here, give up some first or second pitch hits because they're trying to attack the zone. And then, Chris Fetter can work with them on not getting hit when they do that, but attacking the zone in that way. I think that's for me the biggest thing I'm looking for out of the team in general this week. Is watching the pitching staff and obviously guys trying to get their bats back. Anything in particular you're looking for, Luke?
I want first pitch strikes. That is what I like. I have ranted and raved about it enough on this show over the past year. First pitch strikes. Throw strikes. I would rather, again, see a guy throw a ball that's right down the middle and a strike that a guy hits it over to the moon than give up leadoff walks. That's just, of course you want the first pitch strike. But taking control of those bats early is what I want to see our pitchers do. And I think Fetter will really kind of hopefully hammer home that message of being on, the attack, not waiting. So I think we'll be good. That's what I want to see. And just with at bats, that's always the same thing. Good at bats, clean at bats, hitting for contact. Just getting on base. Well, if you got good eye, all that stuff. It's the basics, the things you learn in Little League. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, it's always interesting this first week of spring training because it's hard to know, obviously, as not professional baseball scouts or managers, exactly what to take out of some of these things as we watch these guys at bat. Like, is this how much work? What does he look like in practice versus what is he looking like in this game situation? So starting to see some of those things. This is going to be a good baseline week to see where are these guys? Okay, great. Can they build on it in the future?
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
All right. Our next segment of conversation will be about AJ Hinch, but I think this is a good spot to take our ad break. So we are going to duck out for a quick word from our sponsors, and we will be back to talk about the learning curve of both of the players and one AJ Hinch. We are back on the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. We just recapped spring training, but one of the things that's been interesting is always the stories coming out of spring training. Once you've sifted through the Miggy's in the best shape of his life stories and gotten down to it, there were a couple of good stories about Jacoby Jones this past week. Talking about the basic question of, can he stay healthy? Can he turn into the player that he's certainly an incredible athlete. Can he turn into that kind of consistent everyday player, and can he stay healthy throughout an entire season, which I know we're both hopeful for. But in that article, Actually, I'll give you a chance if there's anything else you'd want to say specifically about Jacoby Jones before I go into the pieces about the coaching staff that I really enjoyed out of those articles.
I love Jacoby Jones. I love the way he plays the game. I think what's really fascinating about him is he seems like a guy when it comes to offensively, depending when he's hot, he's hot. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, remember last year, the start of the season, there was talks of like, should Jacoby Jones be batting third or if not third, at least lead off? And a lot of times he's kind of down towards the bottom of the order. But I think he is a great, great defender. I think he can really track that ball down in center. I think when he's hot with the bat, he's one of the best hitters in the lineup. Unfortunately, though, and you just said it, his Achilles heel, it seems, season after season, is his health. So let's hope he can stay healthy this time around. I mean, nobody wants to see a good player like Jacoby Jones have to have his season cut short due to injury, but unfortunately, that's kind of been the overall idea the last few seasons with Jacoby. I think I said it last week, too. What's fascinating about Jacoby Jones is he is now one of the longest tenured Tigers on this team. It's like Miggy, then Buck Farmer, and then I think it's probably then like Jacoby Jones and then either a combo of like Matt Boyd and Daniel Norris. So because he got traded in 2015 to the Tigers. So yeah, he's definitely one of the longer tenured guys, and I think he's got a lot of upside. It's just if he can stay healthy and knock on wood this season, he can.
Yeah. So in those articles about Jacoby Jones and these interviews with Jacoby Jones, he was describing AJ Hinch and George Lombard's defensive plan as being very progressive, very detailed, and unlike anything he's seen before, which I do think Tigers fans, we should be ready to, we've talked about it a couple of times now coming into the season, is be ready to see things that if you are a baseball traditionalist, that are going to make you very uncomfortable. So from this Detroit News article, here's the quote. Already Tigers outfielders have gotten packets of information detailing with color-coded bars, positioning depths for every ballpark in the major leagues, shallow, normal, deep, no doubles, etc. There's a sheet of 12 different positional signs that will come from the dugout during the game. And that's on top of the positioning cards they will prepare for each game. So these guys are going to be able to pinpoint exactly where they need to be on the field. And the thing that I know a lot of Tigers fans in particular get upset when you talk about the shift, because the Tigers shifted a ton last year and did not get outs to show for it. One thing that AJ Hinch preaches and teaches is playing zone defense. So he's not focused necessarily on specifically where you're standing. It's how we cover the field as a unit. So it's this is your zone that you cover, not I go to this spot.
Yeah. Yep. No, I think again, kind of how I said earlier in the episode, this coaching staff is exciting. This is an exciting coaching staff. I think we are definitely past the days of the Lloyd McClendons and Rick Andersons, and not really knocking those guys. They kind of did the best they could with the teams they were given. But I'm excited to see how this kind of new crop of coaches handles their business. And I think we can all expect a lot based off their philosophies and how they're going to approach the game with this team. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that, I think one of the reasons the Tigers shifted so much last year is probably because Al said, we've invested a ton of money in all this analytics, use it. And that staff did not maybe necessarily know really the best way to utilize all of those analytics because it is definitely new baseball versus old baseball in that scenario. Yep. And this entire coaching staff is very much new baseball.
Yep, absolutely. So really, again, I'm not knocking Gardy or Lloyd McClendon or Rick Anderson, but it could just kind of be the thing where it's like these guys played baseball in a different time where they wasn't a thing. They weren't that familiar with it. If I go up to my grandfather, hand him my iPhone and say, hey, can you post a tweet for me? He'd probably look at me like I was talking a different language. I mean, it's just the generational thing. That's all. That's what it comes down to. So it's not knocking those guys. It's just a passing of the torch. It's a new era in this game, and analytics, whether you like it or not, they are a massive part of this game. And to an extent, I don't like it. But I understand at the same time that they are a thing. We can't just turn a blind eye to them, because if we do, you're going to be finishing last place season after season. And we are tired of doing that. So we have assembled a group of guys who are going to help us get out of the basement. I'm excited. I think all Tigers fans should be.
Which is actually why I think that I would not be surprised to see the White Sox finish near the bottom of the American League Central, because I don't think that matchup with just even roster and manager is going to be a good fit.
Yeah, it definitely. If the White Sox struggle this year, and this is, I guess, kind of a bold prediction, if they have any struggles to the point where they're not winning the division or making it to the playoffs, whatever it might be, I don't think it'll be because of the roster. That team is loaded with talent. And again, not knocking Tony La Russa, he's a Hall of Famer, but I just don't get the decision. I guess it's one of those things we're just going to kind of have to wait and see what happens. And we may be sitting here this time next year and be like, boy, we were wrong. The White Sox just absolutely dominated from start to finish. And having a Hall of Famer like La Russa at the helm only made them stronger. But as it stands right now, the way I look at it, you got a bunch of young, flashy guys who are super into analytics because they know how the game is being played, and they are being led by an old greyhound. And we'll just kind of have to see what happens. I wish them the best, but not really, because they're in a division. If they want to suck and only win 65 games, fine by me.
Here's my bold prediction for you.
Okay.
At the All-Star break, I'm not saying this is how it will end, the Tigers will be ahead of the White Sox in the division.
Wow, that is bold. We're starting to, as we're in spring training and we're inevitably getting closer to the start of the season, we got to start keeping track of these bold claims we've made. So, because didn't you have one that you said you thought that by the end of the year, Miggy won't be hitting third?
Yeah.
I thought you, yeah. My bold claim is that by the end of this season, I will be able to do my multiplication tables. So
we're getting there.
Let's see what happens. Maybe finish a book 2 while we're at it. Who knows? I'll read.
Call friend of the pod, Anthony Curlott, to have him teach you the multiplication tables.
Terrific.
The other topic of conversation is always Miguel Cabrera, and not necessarily about is he in the best shape of his life, but lots of talk in the offseason about from AJ Hinch wanting to see Miguel Cabrera out in the field playing first base some days, and some reports are that maybe AJ Hinch is learning why managers are quick to put the kibosh on Miggy playing in the field, because once you let him out there, he's never going to take himself off the field.
Yeah. AJ kind of learned a valuable lesson. Maybe he may have put his foot in his mouth a little bit on that one. Look, we both said it before. It's not so much that I think that we're it's not like we don't ever want Miggy to play. We know Miggy wants to play both ways, and that's terrific. But at this point in his career, his bat is more valuable than his defense. And I think anyone who even just knows a little bit about the game of baseball would agree with that. So in my eyes, it only benefits the team to keep him at the DH spot. If he wants to get a start once every 7 or 8 games, great, just to kind of keep him at peace. But we need his bat. That's pretty much at this point in his career and where he's at with his team. That's where he's most suited, is the bat. And also, he's chasing some milestones this year. So the more he can focus on just those at bats and completing the missions that he has and those goals he has in front of him, I think it's only going to help him. Again, he wants to get a start here and there, great, but every day, nah.
Yeah, and I've said it before, and I think especially with chasing those milestones, it becomes really important to keep the flexibility. If Miggy can start every 7 or 8 games, or Miggy does slump sometimes, but Miggy's also very good at hitting himself out of a slump. You just got to kind of keep him at bat, get him those at bats, and if we can put him into the field so that we're getting some value out of him as a defenseman, as opposed to just being a potentially dead spot in the lineup if he's in the midst of a slump, so that he can hit his way out of that, but we can maybe shift him around. That's where maybe Miggy doesn't hit third all the time in that moment, but that's the thing. But yeah, it's AJ Hinch has I think learned a little bit of a lesson about how competitive Miguel Cabrera is, how much Miguel Cabrera loves to play the game and loves to be out on the field. So it's always interesting. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, there was AJ Hinch made a comment about how it would be an honor. It is an honor to manage Miguel Cabrera. And, we had somebody on our Facebook page comment that was the wrong attitude for AJ Hinch to have, which I want to push back on, because I think that when you're managing a first ballot Hall of Famer, like Miguel Cabrera, it is an honor to work with him, and you should not pretend that he's anything like most of your roster. That you gotta just work with Miggy. You gotta manage. Coaching professional athletes in general is a game of personality management, and not that Miguel Cabrera needs anyone to bow down and kiss the ring. But AJ Hinch just being honest and straightforward. He's working with a future Hall of Famer. That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't even know this was something. I read our show notes, and I thought this was like a Twitter thread that I didn't see. I didn't know it was something I was on our Facebook page. Someone said
someone commented on an article. Yeah, that.
What a stupid ass.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
What a stupid ass. He's managing a future, as you said, first ballot Hall of Famer. AJ, Hinch isn't going to tie his shoes and hold his hands and sing him songs when he's trying to sleep at night. But the guy's honored to coach a future Hall of Famer. That's awesome. Who cares? And it's great. It builds rapport between a first-year manager who, let's face it, had some off-the-field issues last season and is now embarking on a new journey with a guy that's still going to be around for a couple of seasons and is definitely the leader on the team in Miguel Cabrera. Mm-hmm. The fact that he wants to kind of strengthen and already get off to a good start and build good rapport and open lines of communication, that's great. That's great. Whoever said that's an idiot. Sorry.
Well, and I think I hope
it wasn't like a family member of yours or something.
No, it wasn't. I would have called them out by name if it was.
Perfect. Great.
But I think that one of the things too is that, you just said it. This is Miguel Cabrera's team.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, what manager was coming in. This is Miguel Cabrera's team. Yep. And so if you come in expecting it to be otherwise, which is also back to the White Sox, why the La Russa thing's not going to work. Because Tony's going to make it Tony's team, and that's going to be a problem.
Over under for the White Sox. Do we think at some point we see an article or a video clip of Tony La Russa and a player having to be separated because they're about to kill each other in the dugout?
Ooh.
I can already envision in my mind him and Tim Anderson going at it in the dugout. Yeah. Like I feel like it's all but certain. Like it's gonna happen. But,
will this make White Sox games more entertaining to watch?
I like White Sox Stadium. I know I'm on record on saying in the past, horrible name, but actually a very, very underrated stadium. I like it a lot, actually. Then again, that's where I've seen.
I almost called it U.S. Cellular Field, but
not that name was much better, but guaranteed
incorrect
is no bueno, no bueno. But no, yeah, it's great. This is awesome, man. AJ Hinch he's doing all the right things, and again, I guess I shouldn't harp on the guy who has a different opinion, but I just think that's a silly comment at the end of the day. But did you see the thing real quick? Because I know we got some other stories to talk about. So they did the 30 clubs in 30 days on MLB Network, and one thing I've been kind of intrigued by with Miggy, I feel like I've seen a couple different news articles and video clips of him actively talking about his chase for 3,500 and him being like, I want to get those. Those are goals that I want. I want those. I feel like a lot of times we don't hear athletes admit that they're like chasing milestones or accolades. And I thought that was really interesting. And I am not at all knocking Miggy for saying things like that. I think it's great. Actually, it's kind of refreshing, to be honest with you, because these athletes in their mind, when they get asked a question like that, they're kind of like, oh, well, that's not on my whatever I can do to help the team. That's what I'm really worried about. But in the back of their mind, or not even the back, of the very front of their mind, they're thinking, I'm going to get 3,000 hits this year and join a very elite club. And I just thought it was kind of cool that Miggy was like, he wasn't being cocky. He wasn't being arrogant about it from everything I read and everything I saw. He was just being like, yes, those are goals of mine, and I would like to accomplish them this season. And I was like, that's cool. I think that's going to be a fun, like the other night I was watching TV, I was out at dinner or something, and I saw on the bottom line on ESPN, that was one of like the main headlines, like Miguel Cabrera enters this season chasing 500 home runs, 3,000 hits on the bottom line. And I was like, first of all, when was the last time you saw anything with the Tigers on the bottom line? So that's always cool. But I think it'll be an ongoing story for Miggy this season, which will be great. And I hope for his sake that he will be able to get these career accolades with some fans in the stands. It sucks that he probably can't do a sold-out Comerica, but let's also be honest, Comerica really hasn't been selling out much in recent seasons because the team hasn't been that good. It's not like the early 2010s days. But I hope for Miggy's sake that, we're probably looking, at least for the hits, that's probably more the end of the season. The home run thing, that could, if he gets off to a hot start in the first half, that could be done by June or July. But the hits thing, you're most likely going to be waiting for that at the end. But I think it's great. Overall, I think it's great. The AJ Hinch comment, I think, is great. I think that's really cool and classy of him to make that comment about Miggy. Miggy saying he wants these milestones is great. Everything is just pretty good.
Here's my question to you, Luke.
Pretty good.
Do you think, because I have been seeing that same push, and I would think that it's one coming from both the Tigers PR department, but also the league, right? Because it has been, it's been a minute since we've been actively chasing something in Major League Baseball. And so the league, obviously it's good for baseball when they can build up those stories that let's watch Miguel Cabrera all season trying to hit these massive career milestones. Do you think that this potential extra attention coming to the Tigers serves as a motivator to these young players on the roster? Or does it cause them extra pressure?
I think definitely a motivator. I think because look, when you're on the Sunday night baseball game, you don't want to play like crap. Mm-hmm. When you're on national TV, you want to go out there and play your best. And let's face it, I would be curious to see the stat, but I don't think the Tigers have had a Sunday night baseball or a Monday night baseball game on ESPN in years. I want to say that, if I'm not mistaken, when Castellanos got traded to the Cubs in 2019, I vaguely remember him having a conversation that was mic'd up with Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo or someone, and they were asking, because he was like, "This is my first Sunday night baseball game." And then it was the first one in a while. And they're like, "Oh, he's like, we didn't have one in a few seasons." So just kind of interesting. But to answer your question, I think it's a motivator. I think it's great. It only builds hopefully confidence around the team, and also it could all work out kind of nicely in a really weird way, because you're going to have Miggy chasing these milestones, but at the same time, there's still a lot of young and up-and-coming players that are going to be around the game for many, many, many seasons. And for them to kind of get their first taste of being on that national spotlight, I think that's great. So I think it'll only benefit them.
Yeah, as I posed the question, I also thought about all these, not just these young guys, but some of these veterans that we've got on one-year deals that are playing for their next job. And so the better they can do when all the eyes of the baseball world are looking at them is only going to benefit them. So I think that does definitely serve as a future motivator for them, which is great. I think it's all good. It's definitely, I agree with you. What you said earlier, that I don't think we're going to have another 2019 season on our hands. I think that everything feels real good right now in terms of how they're doing. Yeah, I think it's great.
And I don't think and obviously things are feeling good because there's just so much optimism for the future. But beyond that, because who knows how this team is still going to perform this year. A lot of the projection sites have them only getting to 65, 66 wins. I was watching the MLB Network special, and they said that they were making it very clear that this is still a rebuilding team, which, by the way, also in that, AJ Hinch said that he hates the word rebuilding. So he hates that phrase. So already I like the guy a lot.
Another point for AJ Hinch.
Yeah, another feather in his cap, in my book at least. But there's a lot of fun stuff circulating with this team. There's a lot of fun energy. The Miggy storylines are going to be great. We're going to get to continue to see younger players develop and debut this season. And I'm not going to lie, there's a couple of players on this team that I'm excited. These kind of like these one-year guys. I'm curious to see what Wilson Ramos is going to do as the starting catcher. I'm curious to see if Jonathan Scope can kind of replicate the success he had in 2020 and do it again in 2021. Nomar Mazara in right field is another interesting case. At one point in time, he was a pretty highly touted guy. He had a really nice, kind of start with the Rangers, and then didn't work out so well for him with the White Sox. But it's interesting. I'm super stoked to see what Jamer does. I've been saying it all off season. Jamer had his breakout year last year. Finally, I want to see how he follows that up. And, that's not even getting into the pitching with guys who we both like in Boyd, and Turnbull, and Norris, and just kind of seeing what they do and the bullpen and all the stuff. So there's a lot of just fun and intriguing and optimistic storylines, I think, surrounding this Tigers team in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Shall we turn to our listener question?
Let's do it. Let's end up with, first of all, thank you so much for the listener for sending in a question. That's fantastic. Listeners and watchers, send them in all the time. And if you're the guy who thought AJ Hinch was managing like the wrong way by saying that Miggy comment, well, you don't have to write in. That's fine.
But this is a good, good episode proven. We do pay attention to what you write on our social media channels.
We are watching.
And we love to converse with you there.
And we do not like what we see. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's great. But yes, Noah Conley over on our YouTube. If you listen to the audio version of the show does have a video version that goes out on YouTube and Facebook. If you're on the YouTube and Facebook watching and you don't have time to watch but want the audio version, available wherever you get your podcasts, in all of those places, please, subscribe so you get alerts about the episodes as they drop. That helps our numbers, helps other people find the show. Please write us reviews, join us on Twitter for all the conversations. Find us in all the places. We love conversing with you. That's the thing we love about doing the show. Like Luke and I enjoy talking about the Detroit Tigers, certainly, but embracing and conversing with the wider community is always a highlight of our week, especially sometimes when the Tigers are not being a highlight of our week. We can find new joy in those ways together as we push through.
Yeah, there's been all jokes aside, and whatnot. We've had a really kind of fun little community that we've been kind of integrated with in this last year, especially over on Twitter. We've got a lot of cool people over there that are always down to have some conversations. And as we get back into our regular schedules and everything like that, we look forward to catching up with a lot of you and meeting all the people that we haven't, really gotten a chance to talk to yet down the road as we enter the season. So thanks for the support. I think that's the best way to put it out. And like Alex said, follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then, hey, feel free to send us some money. I need to get a new phone. So if you just want to send me some money, that'd be great. That would be terrific. So no, I'm kidding.
We're never opposed to.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Gifts in kind.
Gift cards to Chili's, I'll take them. That's cool with me.
So Noah asked who we think the Tigers will and or should take at the number 3 spot in the draft, which they currently possess. Noah suggested Jordan Lawler, who's a shortstop out of Dallas Jesuit High School, who's currently listed number 2 in the top 100 of prospects. Coomer Rocker, obviously at number 1, likely going to the Pirates. And so then at 3, throwing this out, is another shortstop. This one out of college, coming out of UCLA, Matt McClain. So Luke, with the caveat that I will give to this question, especially as I answered as well, that we are not necessarily prospect trackers, you and I. We read a lot of articles and we'll read the think pieces that are like, this is what the Tigers should do in this spot, but are not necessarily like getting deep in the weeds. But obviously, top 5 pick, hard to screw up. Possible, but hard. So I guess I'm going to slightly rephrase the question. And what philosophy do you hope that Al is taking into the draft this year?
It's a good question. And thank you again, Noah, for writing that in. That's awesome, man. We appreciate it. I would say this. You can't go wrong either way, quite honestly, with a top 5 pick. And like you said, it takes a lot of screwing up to screw something like that up. But hey, just talk to the Chicago Bears about that and their whole quarterback snafu. It is possible. And being a Bears fan, I can attest to it. It is possible. I would like, honestly, Al, to go with this. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but from the pitching side, I don't think you can have enough pitchers in your arsenal. Now, I know that the Tigers right now are very, very, very top heavy with pitchers. However, I will say this. Prospects are prospects. Oh my God. Prospects are prospects. Let me rephrase that. Just because you're the next Casey Mize, the next Tarek Skubal, doesn't mean you automatically just get a free ticket and you become that guy. It takes years and years and years of practice and success and sometimes a little bit of luck till you get there. And the same thing can be said for someone on offense too. I'm not saying they're both like completely different. To go from prospect to premier player, there's a long road that happens in between there. One thing we've seen recently with Tigers pitching prospects is that they are human. We have seen Joey Wentz go down due to injury. We have seen Alex Faedo go down due to injury. And I'm not saying that those guys can't come back from those injuries and have really great and illustrious careers. I think they will. But I just think that I would like to see the Tigers continue really bulking up on the pitching side, because the days of the Verlander and Scherzer and Porcello and Doug Fister, those days feel like distant memories at this point. It seems so long ago since we kind of had that stable of dominant pitchers. And while I think that we are approaching kind of that era again with Mize, Manning, Skubal, I'm sure some other guys coming down the road, Joey Wentz, Faedo, maybe a couple of big signings, a trade, whatever the case may be, it would be great to see the Tigers kind of get back to that level of having that dominant pitching staff that they once had in the late 2000s and in the early 2010s. Also, another reason why I would like to see them lean more into the pitching side rather than the offensive side is if you look at the free agent class next year, stacked with offensive talent. And what have we heard time and time again from Chris Ilitch over the last 4 or 5 seasons? We're not really waiting to spend till 2021. Not really waiting to spend till the 2021 offseason. Well, guess what, folks? Believe it or not, at the end of this season, it's finally the 2021 offseason. So now we're going to finally see if Chris Ilitch puts his money where his mouth has been for the last 4 or 5 years. And if you go online and just look, I got it pulled up right here. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of here who we got next year. Just real quick. Sal Perez, Freddie Freeman, Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant, Francisco Lindor, Javi Baez, Carlos Correa, Corey Seager, Michael Conforto, Tommy Pham, Starling Marte, Castellanos, designated hitters, Soler, Chris Davis, JD Martinez, starting pitchers, Noah Syndergaard, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Next season is an absolute stacked free agent class. We're going to have a completely different storyline from last off season that we just went through to next year's. But, obviously we'll get there when the time comes. So yes, sorry, this was a very long-winded answer, Noah. But to answer your question, man, I would like to see the Tigers lean more on the pitching side. Look, if they get another impressive bat like Spencer Torkelson, I'm not going to complain about it. Again, it's hard to screw up a top 5 draft pick. But if it was me, I would like to see them keep leaning on the side of pitching, because you can never have enough pitching in this game.
Yeah, and I think that, I agree with everything you said, Luke, and I also would agree with that assessment of lean on pitching, because I also think that it's a lot easier to deal pitchers for some of that offensive talent that has proven itself at the major league level. I think that you can make some of those deals work with teams that are really looking to add that second ace to their team to make that run. And can give up a bat to do it. And I think that one thing that also we've seen from Al, and one thing that I like about the way Al has approached drafts is kind of and we're seeing more and more teams, a preference for collegiate players, because they're a little bit more ready to make their way into Major League Baseball. A guy like Jordan Lawler, if he goes at number 2 and isn't available, then obviously this is a moot point. If he is available at number 3, as is somebody like Adrian Del Castillo, who's a catcher, probably don't want to take another catcher, but Jaden Hill out of LSU, Jack Leader, another pitcher out of Vanderbilt, those guys, I would rather see us go there than take a high school shortstop, especially because depending on who he goes to, he may decline to take the offer. That is also a risk when you draft a high school player, is that they're also more likely to decline that offer and come back. And so it's also possible that the Tigers will have another shot at drafting Jordan Lawler in the future, depending on what that turns into. I definitely an interesting question. I'm looking forward to a draft that is not overshadowed by the coronavirus. And are we going to have a season this year? I think that we can have some fun digging into some of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially under the new draft rules, as it's still a much shorter draft than it used to be in the past. And so I think that's another reason why you wouldn't want to see guys taking flyers on some high school players. And it's not, and obviously Jordan is the number 2 prospect in the draft class for 2021. So he's no slouch. He's going to play professional baseball somewhere. He's going to be in somebody's organization. I just feel like the spot that we're in as an organization right now, I would rather see us get some more pitching, get some more guys that aren't going to take a long time in the minors, so that we can have. We've got a lot of great talent that is making its way into Erie and Toledo, and in the next few years they will be in Detroit and Toledo. And then we can start really focusing on getting guys that are going to be in West Michigan and Erie. And I just don't think we're quite there yet. And then once we are there, then we can start to be the Cardinals of the American League Central.
Yep. I like that idea. No, it's great. It's a really great question. Honestly, they can't really go wrong either way, but it is fascinating. You know, they're kind of getting to that point now where it's like, you can keep adding this young and dominant pitching core, or you can continue to try to get more reinforcements on the offensive side. We know the two big guys come up, Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson, great. But then also to my point, and what you said as well, with the free agent being next year, and the messaging that we've heard from Illich from the last couple of seasons is that we're going to be spending next offseason. And as I said, go on MLB.com and look at the list of people who will be free agents next year. The offensive side is very impressive, as is the pitching side. So maybe, to play devil's advocate to my own point, maybe they do go for a big bat and then they sign a big pitcher next offseason. Who knows?
Yeah, it'll be an interesting offseason, both from a Tigers roster move perspective and from a looming labor strike perspective.
Oh, God.
So just a
no
story
more labor.
We'll continue to track, but thankfully we don't have to worry about it until December. So
yeah.
That means we only have to talk about baseball until then.
I love it. That's terrific. Who doesn't want to talk about baseball? It's America's pastime, people. Let's do it.
That's right. And we will be here every week talking about it as the season unfolds. Next week, we'll be chatting more about what's happened in spring training. If you've got any questions for us, anything you want us to talk about, if you want us to dive more into the draft, we'll be happy to do so. Just throw it into a comment or a message to us. We'll be happy to chat about it. Throw out the topics. We'll even we'll give you more food recommendations in Macomb, Illinois, if you want them. We got all the news that's fit to print. Wait, that's not our motto.
We got Gelsosimo's in Macomb, Illinois, the pub. The outskirts. Well, actually, that's gone.
Lunch. Yeah, outskirts no
and
more.
Lunch. Corbin Olson Dining Hall. I had many of free meals there, paid by my friends because they had dining swipes after I was off the dorms and campus. But yeah, terrific stuff. Macomb, Illinois. It is soon to be the Italy of the Midwest.
I'm not sure what way we should take that, Luke.
I don't know. I think Italy's a romantic place to go to. That's what my sources tell me.
There's always a classy place to take a lady on a date in Macomb, Illinois.
Olive Garden. They don't have one there, but let's end the episode.
There used to be a Ponderosa. Yeah, we'll get out of here. We'll have a great week, folks. We need baseball. We need the baseball season to start because we're going a little loopy. Luke, have a great week.